Fellow gardeners, let me share something that completely transformed my tomato growing game this season. After struggling with mediocre yields and disease-prone plants for years, I decided to try something different. I added just 1 cup of worm castings to each of my tomato plants, and what happened next left me absolutely stunned. The results were so dramatic that neighbors started asking what miracle fertilizer I was using. Within just 2 weeks of applying worm castings around my tomato plants, I noticed the first signs of change. The leaves, which had been a pale green, suddenly deepened to a rich, vibrant emerald color that practically glowed in the morning sun. But that was just the beginning. By week 3, the stem thickness had increased noticeably and new growth was exploding from every node. The most shocking change came at the 6-week mark. My tomato plants had grown an additional 18 inches in height, with stems so robust they barely needed staking. The foliage was dense and healthy, with not a single sign of the yellowing or spotting that had plagued my previous seasons. But here's what really blew my mind. Each plant was loaded with flower clusters, and I'm talking about twice as many as I'd ever seen before. Worm castings aren't just any ordinary compost, and understanding why makes all the difference. When earthworms digest organic matter, they create something remarkable. Their digestive process breaks down nutrients into forms that plants can immediately absorb, creating a slow-release fertilizer that feeds your tomatoes for months. What makes worm castings truly special is their nutrient density. They contain 5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 11 times more potassium than ordinary soil. But it's not just about the numbers. These nutrients are bound in organic compounds that release gradually, preventing the nutrient burn that chemical fertilizers often cause. Your tomatoes get a steady, consistent feeding that promotes healthy, sustained growth. The microbial activity in worm castings is equally impressive. These beneficial bacteria and microorganisms create a living soil ecosystem around your tomato roots. They help break down organic matter, suppress harmful pathogens, and improve soil structure. This explains why my plants showed such remarkable disease resistance this season. How to apply worm castings for maximum impact. The application method I used was surprisingly simple, but timing and placement made all the difference. I waited until my tomato seedlings were well established, about 4 weeks after transplanting. Then I carefully worked 1 cup of worm castings into the soil around each plant, creating a circle about 6 inches from the stem. Here's the critical part. I didn't just sprinkle the castings on top, I gently worked them into the top 3 inches of soil using a hand cultivator, being careful not to disturb the roots. This ensures the nutrients reach the root zone where they're needed most. After application, I watered thoroughly to activate the microbial life in the castings. For container-grown tomatoes, I mixed the worm castings directly into the potting soil before planting. The ratio I used was about 20% worm castings to 80% quality potting mix. This created an incredibly rich growing medium that sustained my container plants throughout the entire growing season. The harvest results speak for themselves. My typical tomato plant would produce about 15 to 20 pounds of fruit per season. This year, with just that 1 cup of worm castings per plant, I harvested an average of 35 pounds per plant. The fruit quality was equally impressive, with tomatoes that were larger, more flavorful, and had that deep, rich taste that store-bought varieties never achieve. Disease resistance was another game-changer. In previous seasons, I'd lose at least 30% of my crop to various fungal issues and blight. This year, I didn't lose a single plant to disease. The robust health of the plants created a natural defense system that kept problems at bay. The extended harvest period was perhaps the most valuable benefit. While my neighbors' plants were declining by late August, mine continued producing well into October. The sustained nutrient release from the worm castings kept the plants vigorous and productive long after conventional fertilizers would have been depleted. Your next steps to tomato growing success. If these results have you excited to try worm castings in your own garden, remember that quality matters. Look for pure worm castings without fillers or additives. Start with just 1 cup per plant and watch the transformation unfold. Your tomatoes will thank you with the best harvest you've ever experienced. Don't forget to subscribe to Soil Doctor for more game-changing gardening secrets, and share this guide with fellow gardeners who deserve to experience these incredible results too.